Hello, everybody, and welcome to another segment or another session of the daily portion of German. And today we have Daniela online as our guest in reading and translating together. So this is the first session on Harry Potter's of the Philosopher's Stone, and it's we're going to cover from here. If you can see my mark, can you see that, Daniela?
Yes.
All the way down to here. And the reading is fairly easy, but the one thing I say that I always mention in courses, especially after an intensive course or after a first year course where you're going to be very busy and not have a chance to do a lot of reading or keep up with all the grammar, is to pick out something that you really enjoy, something that's fun and something that you're familiar with, and find a German translation of that. So all of Harry Potter's works so far have been translated into German, and she actually writes very well. And the translation is in High German. It's not something slang and something that you would, but it would really help. And since it's so much fun, you could just sit down and read a few pages a day and just have fun with it, and then be able to keep up and maintain the level that you've reached or and expand it. So our procedure is I'm going to be reading out loud the sentences, and then Daniela will repeat after me, and please repeat with her so that you get a sense of how the sentence unfolds, its sound, and its rhythm, and then to participate in that way. And then I'll ask her individual questions about the grammar. We'll sort of unpack the grammatical structure of each sentence, and then we'll do a translation. So following those steps along, you'll be able to hopefully sort of help us with the translation yourself. Anyway, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so here we go. Ein Junge überlebt, a young boy survives, is the sort of title of that first chapter. And they start out with Mr. and Mrs., of course, which we'll read too. Okay, you all set? So Daniela will repeat after me, and here we go. Mr. und Mrs. Dursley im Ligusterweg Nummer 4. Everybody?
Mr. und Mrs. Dursley im Lingusterweg Nummer 4
Waren stolz darauf, ganz und gar normal zu sein, sehr stolz sogar.
waren stolz darauf, ganz und gar normal zu sein, sehr stolz sogar.
Okay, so up to the comma here, where's the verb, Daniela?
Waren,
Okay, and using a pronoun, how do you translate that?
they were.
They were. So we always identify the verb first because the subject can be anywhere in the sentence, in a German sentence. So you know that you're looking for a plural subject, so which you obviously have right here, Mr. and Mrs., Frau und Herr, Herr und Frau Dursley. We're very proud. What does this darauf do? What is its functioning as?
It is. It demonstrates that that it's referring to something previously
Yeah. Good.
in the sentence, and it's kind of explaining what it's doing.
That's right. So these dar compounds, dar, and here's a preposition following it right here, are words that either point backward to refer to something that occurred before, or it points forward. So they really serve as connecting elements that point forward. And so this says, it translates Mr. and Mrs. Dursley. We're very proud about that. About what? And then here's your complementary infinitive, to be normal, etc. In fact, very, very, indeed, or even very normal. I'm sorry, very proud, stolz. Okay, let's see. So do you want to just go ahead and translate that first sentence?
Sure. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley at Ligusterweg number 4 were proud about that, to be completely and quite normal, even very proud.
Good. Okay, great. They were proud about that. To be completely and quite normal. That was their aim. Okay, going on. Niemand wäre auf die Idee gekommen, sie könnten sich in eine merkwürdige und geheimnisvolle Geschichte verstricken. Up to that point, go ahead.
Niemand wäre auf die Idee gekommen, sie könnten sich in eine merkwürdige und geheimnisvolle Geschichte verstricken.
Okay, so right at this, even at the very beginning, you have two examples of the subjunctive mood. So the indicative mood would be war gekommen. He had come. Wäre gekommen is would have come. Okay, and then könnten sich verstricken. Notice that the helping verbs will come first. This is actually a modal auxiliary coming first, and with the infinitive right here at the end. So the infinitive always floats to the end of the clause or the period, depending on which comes first. Okay, so niemand is no one, and so would have come to the idea, and here you have a directional accusative to the idea. And then in here, after the comma, Daniela, where's the verb complex?
Könnten sich verstricken.
Good. And as you see, we try to, our idea is to put a box around the verb, and sich is part of the verb complex because it's a reflexive pronoun. So that includes in the verb complex all the way up to here. Könnten sich verstricken. So verstricken means to entangle. It's kind of onomatopoetic word. They were able to entangle themselves. So, and then what about this case? Is this a dative or accusative? In einer merkwürdige, etc.
Dative.
Well, it's actually accusative in einer Geschichte, so into a history. So they could not they no one would have come to the idea that um, they could entangle themselves, going back to the reflexive pronoun, into a noteworthy um, or secret history or story actually. Okay, do you want to translate the whole thing from Niemann?
Sure. No one would have come to the idea they could have entangled themselves into a noteworthy and secret story.
Good. Secret or mysterious, geheimnisvolle. Going on. Denn mit solchen Unsinn wollten sie nichts zu tun haben. Everybody?
Denn mit solchem Unsinn wollten sie nichts zu tun haben.
So where's the verb complex?
Wollten and then zu tun haben.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, right there. So they wanted to do nothing or to have nothing to do. They wanted to have nothing here, actually direct object. They wanted nothing to do with such nonsense. Okay, good. So let's see. And then den is always gives the reason for something. So always translate that with for for. You want to do that from here, den mit?
Sure. For they wanted nothing to do with such nonsense.
Good. So she did the whole verb complex and then picked this up as a direct object and then finished with this this phrase, which is in the dative case. Okay, going on. Here we go. Mr. Dursley war Direktor einer Firma namens Grunings. Everybody?
Mr. Dursley war Direktor einer Firma namens Grunings,
Die Bohrmaschinen herstellte.
die Bohrmaschinen herstellte.
Okay, verb complex in the first sentence?
War?
Yeah, when I say complex, usually it means two or three words, but here there's just a single word. And then this is the main clause, which we distinguish from the subordinate clause. This is a relative pronoun that introduces a subordinate clause and therefore is syntactically not as important as the main clause. That's always important to make that distinction. So, and what is the what is the antecedent of D? What does it refer back to?
Firma?
Good. Yeah, it goes back to Firma, the company with the name of Grunig. So, and this is a genitive of a company, and then namens with the name of. It's kind of like a possessive genitive sense, and then herstellen is the verb of the relative clause to produce. Okay, do that whole sentence. Translate.
Mr. Dursley was the director of a company of the name Grunnings, which produced drilling machines.
Good. Nicely done. Going on. War groß und bullig und hatte fast keinen Hals. Dafür aber einen sehr großen Schnurrbart. Everybody?
War groß und bullig und hatte fast keinen Hals, dafür aber einen sehr großen Schnurrbart.
Okay, again, just the simple verb is war, war. And these are all predicate adjectives. War groß und bullig and brownie or brownie. And then here, hatte can take a direct object. And where's the direct object of hatte?
Hals?
Hals, yeah, like it means neck. Kind of a funny word for neck. And so here you have keinen Hals. So and the gender of this is masculine. You can tell by the en ending here. If this were feminine, it would be keine, and if it were neuter, it would just be kein. In place of that, however, and then here you have another accusative because it's still coming off of this verb hatte. He had a, but in place of that, however, he had understood a very large mustache. Okay, I'm going to translate the sentence.
Sure.
And I hope that having gone through and delineated these items within a sentence, you're able to sort of get the sense of how the sentence would run and then be able to translate together with Daniela. Go ahead.
He was large and brawny and had almost no neck. In place of that, however, he had a very large mustache.
Good, great. Notice that in the second part, even though air is not there, Daniela repeated the air, which is nice because it just picks up and identifies the subject of that second that clause. Okay, going on. Mrs. Dursley war dünn und blond und besaß doppelt so viel Hals. Everybody?
Mrs. Dursley war dünn und blond und besaß doppelt so viel Hals,
Wie notwendig gewesen wäre.
wie notwendig gewesen wäre.
Okay, let's stop there. So you have var again with dun, thin, so just simple predicate adjectives, and blonde, and what does this verb come from? Besaß, do you remember? From it comes from besitzen. So this is a strong verb. Besitzen, besaß, besessen. So it means to possess. And Mrs. Dursley was thin, blonde, and she possessed doubled so much of a neck. So i.e. maybe twice as large of a neck. Is this here? Is this subjunctive or indicative? Gewesen wäre.
Subjunctive.
Good. Again, the subjunctive is used there. I just sometimes erase it from time to time so you can read it more easily, as would have been necessary. Okay. Was allerdings sehr nützlich war, everybody?
Was allerdings sehr nützlich war.
Denn so konnte sie den Hals über den Gartenzaun recken und zu den Nachbarn hinüberspähen. Everybody?
Denn so konnte sie den Hals über den Gartenzaun recken und zu den Nachbarn hinüberspähen.
Okay, great. So what, however, was very useful, i.e. having a long neck, right? And then here's another den for, and so always translate thus, thus or in this way. Thus, she was able, and notice whenever you have any adverbial elements in the beginning, then the subject and the verb are reversed. So she was able to do what? Where's the complement or infinitive?
Hinüberspähen?
Well, there's a one before that. She was able to stretch, reckon. And what's the direct object of reckon?
Den Hals?
Good, yeah, den Hals. Good, there we go. She was able to stretch. And then often notice, you may have noticed before that the German doesn't often include the possessive pronouns, but you really can supply it here to make it have sense. For thus she was sie was able to stretch her neck. You should properly say over over the garden fence. And then here is Uber can take dative or accusative. In this case, it's dative because it's showing direction and movement towards something. So she was able to stretch her neck over the garden fence. And what else was she able to do? Hinüberspähen, and she was able to spy over into hinüber. This is a really nice combination of words here. Spähen just means to spy there and then over. So to spy over into and into the neighbors. Okay, let's see. Why don't you why don't you just go from here? If you can translate from here down to hinüberspähen. Elena?
So, which, however, was very useful, for thus she was able to stretch her neck over the garden fence and to spy over into the neighbors.
Good. Die Dursleys hatten einen kleinen Sohn namens Dudley. Everybody?
Die Dursleys hatten einen kleinen Sohn namens Dudley.
Und in ihren Augen gab es nirgendwo einen prächtigeren Jungen. Everybody?
Und in ihren Augen gab es nirgendwo einen prächtigeren Jungen.
Okay, so up to this un, which is a coordinating conjunction, where's the verb?
Hatten.
Hatten is a verb to had, just like our English word had, and it's a transitive verb. It can take a transitive, it can take a direct object, which it is here. The Dursleys had a son, and I show that that's a transitive verb with an arrow, which makes this whole phrase here accusative. So it's einen kleinen Sohn. Great, this whole phrase is the accusative, even though we normally just circle the noun and not the adjectives that may modify it. So the Dursleys had a small son in the name with the name of Dudley, and then just go ahead and translate. Oh, I'm sorry. Gab es can be there is or there was or there were, and so and there. So in this case, it's there was because it's a singular a boy, and in their eyes there was nowhere a more splendid youth. Okay. I think it's really useful sometimes for everybody to get the flow of the whole paragraph once we've gone through step by step and done each sentence. So would you mind going from the top and then just going down and following that? And I'll erase this.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Dursley at Ligusterweg number 4 were proud about that, to be completely and quite normal, even very proud. No one would have come to the idea they could have entangled themselves into a noteworthy and secret history, for they wanted nothing to do with such nonsense. Mr. Dursley was the director of a company of the name Grunnings, which produced drilling machines. He was large and brawny and had almost no neck. In place of that, however, he had a very large mustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and possessed double so much of a neck as would have been necessary, which, however, was very useful, for thus she was able to stretch her neck over the garden fence and to spy over into the neighbors. The Dursleys had a small son named Dudley, and in their eyes there was nowhere a more splendid young boy.
Great. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So next time we may not take quite so much look at the sentences in such great detail, but we'll follow up on this with the next paragraph in the next segment. Thanks so much for attending, and take care. Bye-bye.